There is a critical divergence happening in the Solana ecosystem right now that 90% of retail traders are completely ignoring. While the masses are distracted by the daily price fluctuations and meme coin speculation, the institutional infrastructure layer is flashing a signal we have not seen since the early days of Ethereum's scaling. There's a structural shift occurring in how global payment giants like Western Union are viewing blockchain latency and throughput. If you are holding Solana, or if you are betting on the future of decentralized payments, you are currently at risk if you do not understand the mechanics of the Firedancer upgrade. We are not talking about a simple software patch here. We are looking at a total rewrite of the network architecture that fundamentally alters the valuation model of the asset. In the next 8 minutes, we are deconstructing the raw evidence behind the 1 million transactions per second reality. We are going to look at why Jump Crypto is pouring resources into this, and why the legacy payment rails are quietly watching this specific development. Most people think they know speed, but they have no idea what is coming. Let us look under the hood. To understand the magnitude of the Firedancer upgrade, we first need to strip away the marketing hype and look at the cold, hard engineering constraints. Currently, the Solana network operates using a validator client originally built by Solana Labs. It is efficient, certainly faster than Ethereum, but it has a history of congestion issues under extreme load. We all remember the network outages. Those outages were the single biggest counter-argument used by institutional bears. They argued that you cannot build a global financial system on a network that needs to be restarted. This is where the narrative shifts. Enter Jump Crypto. Jump is not your average crypto development shop. They are a high-frequency trading firm accustomed to building systems that operate in nanoseconds, not seconds. They're building Firedancer, which is a second independent validator client for the Solana network. This is critical because it introduces client diversity. If the original client has a bug, Firedancer keeps the network running, and vice versa. But the real insider story here is not just about reliability. It is about raw, unbridled performance. In test environments, Firedancer has demonstrated a throughput capacity exceeding 1 million transactions per second. Let that number sink in. 1 million. Currently, the theoretical limit of the legacy client is around 50,000 to 65,000 transactions per second. We are talking about a 20-fold increase in capacity. This is the difference between a dial-up internet connection and fiber optics. Now, before we connect this to Western Union and the remittance economy, I want to pause on the data. If this level of deep dive analysis helps refine your market strategy, consider supporting our work by subscribing to the channel. We focus on the metrics that move the market, not the hype that follows it. Now, let us address the Western Union elephant in the room. Why does a legacy giant like Western Union care about a blockchain upgrade? It comes down to cost and finality. Western Union and similar remittance services process roughly 800 million transactions annually across the globe. Their entire business model is built on moving value across borders. However, their current infrastructure is a patchwork of banking relationships, SWIFT codes, and pre-funded liquidity pools. It is expensive and it is slow. In late 2023, Western Union completed a pilot program utilizing the Solana blockchain. The results were telling, but they also highlighted a bottleneck. While Solana was cheaper, the institutional throughput required for a global switch simply was not robust enough at that exact moment to replace their entire backend. They need a network that can handle NASDAQ-level volatility without a single hiccup. This is where Firedancer changes the calculus. With the ability to process 1 million transactions per second, Solana moves from being a speculative crypto casino to a global settlement layer, capable of absorbing all of Western Union's volume without breaking a sweat. We have to look at the cost basis. The average cost of sending $200 globally via traditional rails remains around 6%, according to the World Bank. On Solana, that cost is a fraction of a penny, but institutions do not care about cheap fees if the transaction fails. Firedancer is the answer to the reliability question. It is written in C++, a programming language known for high performance and low-level memory management. This is a departure from the Rust language used in the original client. By optimizing the networking stack and the way transactions are propagated, Firedancer reduces the internal latency of the validator. This means the time between you hitting send and the network confirming the transaction drops to mere milliseconds. For a company like Western Union or even Visa, which has already launched stablecoin pilots on Solana, this latency reduction is the holy grail. It allows them to offer instant settlement to merchants and families waiting for funds. The data suggests that we are moving toward a winner-takes-most scenario in the payments sector. If Solana can prove it can handle the load of the New York Stock Exchange, which requires roughly 500,000 messages per second, it effectively wins the utility argument. We are seeing early signs of this accumulation in on-chain data. If we look at wallet inflows over the last quarter, specifically wallets holding between 10,000 and 100,000 Solana, we see a steady net increase. These are not retail traders buying $50 worth of a meme coin. These are mid-sized entities positioning themselves before the mainnet launch of Firedancer. They are betting that once the switch is flipped, the repricing of the network's utility will be violent. But there is another layer to this strategy that is often overlooked. It is the concept of hardware optimization. Firedancer is designed to utilize modern hardware more efficiently. It bypasses the standard operating system network stack and talks directly to the network card. This is extremely technical, but here's why it matters to your portfolio. It means that the cost to run a validator does not necessarily skyrocket, but the efficiency of that validator goes through the roof. This creates a more robust, decentralized network because you get enterprise-grade performance without needing a supercomputer that costs $1 million. Now, I want to pivot to a comparison that puts this in perspective. Let us look at the November 2021 peak. Back then, Solana was trading at all-time highs, based purely on speculation and total value locked. The network was unstable, and the transactions per second were nowhere near the theoretical limits. Today, the price is lower, but the fundamental throughput capability is about to expand by orders of magnitude. This is what we call a fundamental divergence. Prices lagging behind the technological reality. The market has not yet priced in what happens when you have a blockchain that is faster than the centralized exchanges it trades on. If you're finding value in connecting these dots between code and capital, make sure you are notified when we release our next briefing. We are tracking these wallet movements daily, and you do not want to miss the next update. Let us discuss the timeline and the risks. Firedancer is currently in the testnet phase. The engineers at Jump Crypto are stress testing it with simulated loads that mimic global financial crises. They are trying to break it now so it does not break later. The expectation is a gradual rollout to mainnet over the coming months. The risk here is execution. Rewriting a blockchain client from scratch is incredibly difficult. If Firedancer launches and introduces a consensus bug that forks the network, the confidence in Solana could be shattered. This is the binary bet you are making. You are betting that Jump Crypto, one of the most sophisticated trading firms in the world, can ship code that works. However, if they succeed, the narrative for Western Union changes immediately. It is no longer a pilot program. It becomes a migration strategy. Imagine a world where Western Union integrates Solana on the back end, and the user does not even know they are using crypto. They just know that sending money to the Philippines or Mexico is now instant and costs nearly nothing. We are also seeing a shift in the stablecoin supply on Solana. The issuance of Circle's USDC on Solana has been climbing. This is a leading indicator. Smart money moves into stablecoins on a specific chain before they deploy into the ecosystem, or before they use that chain for settlement. The rise in native stablecoin liquidity aligns perfectly with the Firedancer timeline. It suggests that liquidity providers are preparing for higher velocity of money. A network capable of 1 million transactions per second needs deep liquidity to function. You cannot have high-speed trading or payments if there is massive slippage. The pieces are falling into place. We have the technology upgrade with Firedancer. We have the institutional interest from Western Union and Visa. And we have the rising stablecoin liquidity. This is a triad of bullish fundamentals that is completely separate from the price of Bitcoin or the broader market sentiment. Most traders are looking at charts. Insiders are looking at GitHub repositories and commit history. The activity on the Firedancer repository is high. This is not a ghost chain. This is active, aggressive development. So what is the strategic play here? It is about patience and recognizing the transition from beta to production. Solana has effectively been in a beta state for years. Firedancer is the graduation ceremony. It is the moment the network puts on a suit and tie and walks into the boardroom of Wall Street. If you are allocating capital, you need to watch the testnet metrics closely. Watch for the announcement of the first validator running Firedancer on mainnet. That will be the catalyst. The market will likely react before the full rollout is complete. Markets are forward-looking mechanisms. They will price in the success of Firedancer the moment it proves stability in a live environment. Do not wait for the press release from Western Union. By the time that hits the news wires, the move will have already happened. You need to be positioned when the technical capability is proven, not when the partnership is announced. To wrap this up, the 1 million transactions per second reality is not a marketing gimmick. It is a necessity for the next phase of crypto adoption. We are moving from speculative trading to high-volume utility. Solana, armed with Firedancer, is currently the only chain with a credible path to achieving this without sharding or complex layer 2 solutions that fragment liquidity. It is a monolithic chain scaling to meet global demand. The upside is asymmetric, but the execution risk remains real. Keep your eyes on the data, ignore the noise, and stay focused on the infrastructure. Thank you for giving me your time and attention today. If you appreciate this level of insider analysis, ensure you are subscribed so we can keep you ahead of the curve. We will be monitoring the Firedancer rollout week by week. As always, please remember that this video is for informational purposes only. I am a strategist, analyzing market data and trends. This is not personalized financial advice. Cryptocurrency markets are highly volatile and involve significant risk. Do your own due diligence and consult with a certified financial professional before making any investment decisions. Stay sharp, and I will see you in the next briefing.